Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Wednesday already. Wednesday, heading into Non-Farm Buy Rolls Friday. It still feels like Tuesday to me. I was so confused yesterday uh, because when I miss a live stream, it throws off my whole schedule because I thought yesterday was Monday because I didn't, of course, have the live stream on Monday because of no power. But so I went out to grab some food last night because the wife's back in Chicago and I went to a taco and I forgot it was Taco Tuesday. Boy, oh, and then this morning, again, I'm just the only thing is up at 4 a.m. and then multiple dog walks because for some reason they decided they won't walk together. They won't walk together, so I got to go on multiple dog walks, and then even up at 4, I'm running behind to get to the live stream and all my prep. I'm running behind. There's just runs out of time to walk them all, feed them all, and Smokey has to be hand fed now. He won't eat out of his bowl, or he just won't eat, and he'll just not eat for a while. So, which is not generally good. So, boy, all the problems of the first world country. I, I hope everyone else is doing it. I love it out here, but 4 a.m. is still early. 4 a.m. is early. Good morning, Patrick. I used to. It was easier to do when I was younger. For some reason, it's just not as easy. Again, good morning, Patrick. Thank you, Sterling, for putting in the information. Good morning, Sterling. We had Mastercard. I didn't think those earnings were as good. We had Amazon yesterday, which was a beat. We had AMD, which was a beat on EPS, a miss on revenue. A miss on revenue. Hold on. I still haven't even got through my first cup of coffee yet, which is actually my coffee is 3 espresso shots. 3 espresso shots is what I'm drinking for coffee this morning. So, all right, we have the Treasury. We have Yellen. Didn't Yellen come out yesterday and say, this definite spending can't isn't sustainable or something? After these people, it's a clown show. It is an absolute clown show. And what was she when she was head of the Fed? You know, I give up. And how do you not hold anybody accountable for just reversing their positions? Oh well, like a magic red line was crossed. They just speak out of both sides of their mouth. Why do we pay these people so much money to screw things up so much? Like the Fed, can we abolish the Fed yet? And just make some rule. Let's just make a rule. I'll even take the Taylor rule, and we can refine it. We can do something else, but let's just make a structured rule. We don't need these clowns. How are these clowns doing any better than a structured rule? We have to wait and see. Inflation was transitory. Oh, now it's sticky. Now it's going away. No, well, we don't know what it's doing, so we have to wait and see. We're data dependent. Well, so what are you doing? Sorry, you got a tired rant today. Good morning, Mark. Again, thank you for putting all the Treasury information, Sterling. On the beat with Amazon. I mean, that's not up a lot, so I really want to see how it reacts once it opens. Good morning, Heinrich. There's the AMD numbers, and the chips selling off in sympathy. Oh, you're very welcome, Eric. Good morning, John. Good morning, Royal Palms. I'm glad you are back. Good morning, Anissa. Power outage. Ever notice how major appliances like water heaters break down over weekends or holidays? Yeah, I have noticed that. And it's just, I mean, come on. The whole panel, the main shutoff going bad on a Sunday when there are no supply houses open for I mean, you can't run to Home Depot and you can order one through Home Depot for shipping in a week, but you can't just go to Home Depot and buy a brand new 200 amp disconnect. They just don't have them. You have to go to an electric supply house, which are not open on Sundays. Good morning. So, yeah, it is always that. That's why, you know what, I like to have the appliances. When I own my own place, I'm actually proactive. The place we just sold had everything buttoned up. Everything buttoned up. If anything had a had an issue. I dealt with it before it became a crisis because I don't like this. But in a rental, I can't actually do it. What was interesting too is a bunch of people. We called people around here and like, well, we'll pay for you to come out and we'll see if you can do anything. And they're like, well, you have to have your landlord authorize it. I'm like, I'll pay you. I'll pay you. Doesn't matter. I'll pay to fix it. Nope. We have to have your landlord, who was on vacation in Dominican Republic. So, my rescue demands hand feeding time to time also. Yeah, rescues are wonderful, give them a great life, but they do have their challenges. And we don't know everything they went through before. So I'm not really complaining, it just takes up more time. Good morning, Legion Reaver. We'll get to the markets in a second. Good morning, Richard, I gotta say. An Ember Smoke, yes, I have. It's what I'm keeping my. Where is this? It's the I have multiple Ember mugs. I've put away my travel mug. 4 a.m. is early for Rooster. There's nothing up at 4 a.m. Espresso, I'm at 3 shots at 4 a.m. too. Right now, because I had a really nice Jura double grinder espresso, the whole blown thing, it was like $5,000. I know I had it for a few because they last forever, but I sold it before we moved because I did not want to risk lugging that cost cross country. So I am on a little Nespresso machine right now, but I used to do just espresso shots, multiple espresso shots with the fresh grind. Maybe I'll have to find one again, but I'm going to go through all my Nespresso pods before then. I'll have my Nespresso Verturo and I'm looking to possibly go to a different one which has the coffee pods. I'm not ever doing, what are those other main pods again that just do the coffee? Everybody has them, even Costco. I forget the name of them. They're the standard, just coffee, but I do not like those. The espresso pods are really good. But when you go through 6 a day, it does add up. That's why I had the Jura before. Because it actually, with the amount of coffee I was drinking, with espresso shots, it pays for itself. I have not been to Starbucks. Here's how bad. I'm sorry. We'll get to the markets. I just feel like chatting. If you know what, here's what I'm watching for. I'm watching pre-mark for when it opens to see if that Amazon bounce. A lot of things came down to 62.5. We'll get to the charts. Now, more important, even cross country, I refuse to buy a Starbucks. I brought my little Nespresso maker in a suitcase and pods. And my wife and myself, we made it in the hotel room. We each made 3-shot espressos in our travel mugs and brought them in the car. And then I packed up emptied the water out, packed up the little espresso maker, and went to the next hotel instead of going to Starbucks. Good morning, McRangers. My rescue will steal a tamale out of my stranger's hands if they aren't paying attention. Oh, I love my Jura so quick and makes good coffee. I loved my Jura, but again, I learned the hard way. I've moved, and bringing expensive stuff, even if it's packed well, you break a Jura machine and then you gotta ship it off, and it still could be like $800 to $1,000 to fix. I'll just sell it and buy a new one at some point. Yeah, Keurig, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan. Not a fan. So, all right, let's get to the markets first. We have the mortgage stuff out today. Speaking of that, I was looking at some houses around here. I'm going to be very patient, but I saw another one. It was sold. It was sold for $530 in July of 2022. It just got listed 4 days ago. No updates, $999,000. You're telling me no updates to a house. $530 a year and 8 months ago, a year and 9 months ago, and now it's all of a sudden $1 million property? No, everybody thinks I got $1 million property out here. Again, I'm not the sucker. So, let's see. We have ISM numbers coming out at 10 a.m. Eastern. 30 minutes after the cash opens, Jolt's job openings, 10 a.m. Jolt's jobs quits. Really pay attention to the ISM manufacturing prices, again, to see if that eases up, or prior was 55.8. They're still forecast at 53 to 55. Anything above 50 is still expanding. Now, the market will probably celebrate if it comes in closer to 53 to 55 and down from prior. However, if that comes in hot again, pay attention. Then we got the EIA numbers after the crude pullback, retesting the 200. Then we have the Fed. Sorry, I mean, I didn't even put that in the headline today. This is how silly it is. I didn't even pay attention to it because they're not cutting. There's no way. Now, the press conference, I should have put that in. The press conference will be the interesting point. But what Powell's going to talk out of both sides. We're data dependent, blah, 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 blah. He's going to try to prop up the market still without being committed to. And then I want to hear his gobbledygook stuff about the hotter than, oh, it might just be a seasonal blip. It might be blah, blah, blah. Stop. This is a clown show. And I'm not picking on that. I've been picking on the Fed since Greenspan. I still think it's a clown show. All right, pre-market, Amazon up 4% right now. AMD down 5, just over 5. All the other chips besides analog devices are pretty much down in sympathy. J&J is up. What else do we have? Where's the MasterCard? There it is. Down. So I'm really going to pay attention to Amazon this morning, as I said. Comm services, consumer cyclical, basic materials leading. Technology, financial, consumer, defensive pulling back. Fed watch tool now even has a pause in September. Going to pay attention to this with the Fed meeting. The pause in September to see how that changes today. Because that would put the first cut earliest as November. Fear and greed, still in fear mode. All right. Again, Sterling put out in all the information. Thank you, Sterling. After the close today, we got Qualcomm. Let's see how stupid Carvana is. It's not market moving, but Qualcomm, again, it's not a busy day after today's going to be all Fed meeting. Tomorrow with Apple. Apple's another big one you got in the morning. Has Peloton not gone bankrupt yet? Moderna. ConocoPhillips. But again, we're really, after Apple, it really starts winding down until you get to the tail end with NVIDIA. So I flipped around. You remember we talked about the 50% harmonic. Then we got the decent momentum sell-off yesterday with those hotter, the hotter numbers with the income numbers. So, and we came right down with the gap down after the earnings last night with Amazon and AMD, and coming in 50.35, just above here. We got down to 50.37.75. 50.35 is key going into the close today, especially with JPOW press conference. So really watch that level. If we break below that, I'm using the harmonic clusters. I'm using 5,008, 5,009, then 49.87.25, which would take it into potential double bottom territory. Actually, anything below 5,008 roughly takes into double bottom territory, and I'd be using the conservative levels for that. So I'd be going off the right-hand side if it does hit there. But that's what I'm watching for to the downside. I'm really paying attention on any rally. Yesterday's close at 50.67. Above there, I'm going to 50.83. Not only is it a harmonic, it's a key closing price from the 25th of April. Then I'm looking back at roughly the cluster about 51.02 to 51.06. Then we have 51.14. Then we have 50.30. But again, everything's going to trade off the press conference. We're going to get the volatility. The NASDAQ also coming in to retesting the 62.5. So that level's critical on the closing basis, 17.426.75. If we sell off with the press conference, 17.316.50, 17.217.75, and then a potential retest of the 19th lows, Friday, April 19th lows to the upside. To the upside. I am really keying off of 17,570, which would be to the gap fill and a harmonic. Then we're looking at the next minor level I'm using is 17,665. Then the next major level is 17, right in here. We roughly, I got to look at a shorter term chart to fine tune that level. By the way, does this even qualify? I think that's off the table. Yeah, it's off the table. But you have some clear path moves. So the 17,665, and then roughly your levels 17,726. And then on a major rally, it'd be 17,850 if we wanted to do a recovery rally. The Dow closing above the 62.5 yesterday. The key levels on the Dow, so the 37,965 is key, then 37,800 and 37,630. To the upside, the minor level I'm using is 38,190 to 38,2, and then 38,3, 38,299, and then roughly my next key level is 38,544. If we sell off, though, this 37,630 to 37,463 is the key support area. And if we sell off and we start breaking in all these indices the lows from late April, then we could really start to see the next leg down in the sell-off, which I'm still watching for. I talked about that yesterday, a multi-leg down. I really doubt this is over, but you know what? If J. Powell seems dovish and still stresses we're going to cut earlier rather than later, the market can do what it's going to do. And that's why we always analyze both sides. I know you're sick of hearing that, but it helps you to prevent developing a scotoma and saying, okay, I'm tied in with what I think the market should do, analyzing it with the probabilities and still looking at both sides so you're not caught off guard. Russell, the key closing level is 1959.7. All right, if we start closing below there, it's going to be a magnet price at 200 again. So roughly about 1926 to 1930. To the upside, the minor breakdown level, I'm going to bump it up this. The minor breakdown level is 1993. And then more significant on a rally is roughly right around 2013. There's going to be minor resistance around 2K again, but 2013. Let's see. I'm in the car business. Carvana has hit the first target of a weekly inverse head and shoulders and has set up a weekly potential double top. Used car margins and volume have been under significant pressure. And my problem with Carvana is there's a lot of fraud in their books. But I drove by a Carvana vending machine taking my wife to the airport yesterday. So you think we're going to head down after the meeting? I think Powell's going to try to appease the markets and still say we're data dependent, where that rate hike still, the rate cuts are still there, but we got to see. He's going to, again, try to nuance it so he doesn't trigger a bigger pullback, but still give the markets what he wants. But can you see them cutting? And I know some people say if unemployment pops up, they're cutting. But if they start cutting into sticky inflation, it's not going to be good. I do not want a repeat of the late 70s. VIX, up a little going into the Fed. It's 1650 is really if we start triggering a bigger breakdown. And 15 is what I'm watching if it reacts dovishly over the next couple days. The DAX, again, rolling back down. I'm watching for this key support right around the 18K. If we break below 18K, especially now, if I flip these, please pay attention. 17,920 on the closing basis. Notes, we got these are the note futures press conference today. I mean, it's just stalled out at the 75%. I'm still going to be watching over the next little bit for it to break towards that 87.5, but any rally would be to 108.11. I'd be watching the upper end of the rotation zone. And the yields, I'd be watching for key support about 4.55. On a hawkish Fed, 4.7, and I'm still expecting us to hit the 4.85 area, but nothing yet. Again, just because I'm expecting it. Also, the trend is up, and based off the 65.5 rule, that's why I'm expecting it, not because of some magic forecast. Dollar index puts it in. We had the strong rally yesterday, putting it in. Now, this does not mean it ever has to trigger, but we broke out of the pullback channel, rotation zone held, and puts it in the short-term double top territory. So now, what would the only thing that would get me for a bigger pullback in the dollar, and that could take it back to the 200 area. But it would have to get a close on a daily basis below 105.08. I just watched for a close below 105. And the interesting thing is the rotation zone would be out of the way. And the first target area is with the rising 50. So paying very close attention to that. Crude, pulling back here, going into the EIA numbers and the 200. So if we break below this 200, let me remember we hit that 87.5 from the run-up. So we got to still flip this around since we're getting in the little bigger pullback with crude. If we drop below this 200, the major level is set about 77.70. But this is a very key support level. I'm going to be watching if this level holds for a potential percent B buy setup. Not today, potentially tomorrow. Gold, coming down to that first target area. This is also probably going to react with J. Powell, but the double has been triggered. It's also, I didn't want it there. I wanted a best fit line, but there we go. It's a channeling double. But it closed below the rotation zone also, so we could easily see the continued pullback in gold. Which is fine because the weekly cycles are still down. Now, we've hit the top of the weekly rotation zone, but we haven't closed this week out yet. So I'm still watching for the bigger pullback into the weekly rotation zone, which we could be sideways to down. We don't have to just plummet into there, but that could set up the next power move up in gold. Copper, still pulling back. I'll be watching for a potential percent B buy setup in that on a daily basis. The yen, watching this 158 area on the closing basis. If it closes, we could see a retest this tail area, which, again, intervention. So, but that would be a very short-lived intervention success. Euro, hit the second target. Is this thing officially invalidated or not? No, it's not yet. Again, if it trades below 106.39 or closes below 106.51, it's invalidated. But it hit the first and second target right there. And that's not in double bottom territory. The spiders, again, also hitting that 50% area. Key on the spiders is it's 500.19. I just watched for 500. You close below 500 today. The next major magnet price is 495.80. The minor price is 498.08. On the rally, give me 1 second. Boy, it's getting close to the open. On the rally, 502.31 to roughly 502.31 to 501.98, and then we'll get 504.42. The Qs, 420.83 on the closing basis. The minor level today is roughly 423, which is the 50% retracement. The gap fill is to 424.59. And then the key level using above that is about 426.65. We had NVIDIA selling off a bit with AMD, Let's just peek at AMD, which also is gosh darn rotation zone. That's why the probability shift with the rotation zone, double triggered, slammed into rotation zone, and then the gap down. So that double is been invalidated at this point. Really interesting. Going to be watching. I think AMD is going to come in and test this 200 area, so that's where I'll be watching for to see how it reacts around there. Tesla into the gap, pull back, and I'll be watching for that to fill. What else? Crude looks like a potential upward sloping neckline, head and shoulders on the daily. Let's get back to crude. It is. With the 200 being here, though, I'd use the stuff I've been doing with the flat neckline. I'd be using that flat neckline, personally. Okay? And I'll teach that at some point. I just have a little more work to do on it. Flat neck, I'd use the flat neckline rule, which would also take it below the 200. If that closes, I'm just curious on the levels with the flat neckline. Roughly, I'd be watching that 74.60 to 75.19. That's where that will get interesting. What else? I think the probabilities still favor unless we close above those bounces 62.5. I'm still going because we're in bearish mode. You know, we can do a multi-leg pullback based on a lot of things. I'm still with the probabilities heading down right now. His job is on the line if he doesn't prop Biden up. If we have market meltdown where the media can no longer insist we are not nurse. Yeah. So, let's see what else. All right. Let's take a look at the open. Thank you for sticking with me for the rant. Let's see. We haven't lost that many people. Again, I'm paying attention to those ISM prices paid numbers coming out in 30 minutes. That's the only thing that is still the press conference is going to trump that. But if they come in, I'm going to bump this level down a little. If they come in with a bigger contraction, remember somewhere closer to 53, 52, we could see a retest of this key resistance area. If they come in strong, I'd be watching for a retest of yesterday's support areas. And why did I choose this area? Not just because of this. People say, well, you from this little mini double top. No, the main reason I chose it, you see this reaction. This is this area of significance reinforced by this. So this is the first area. Okay, you see this volatility right there with the key closes. The key close at 50, what is it, 50.65. The little bounce, another close just below it. And then the sell-off with the volatility right there, that's 50.65 is right around the very key area as a resistance with the open. That's why that level's chosen. Then you had the double top there. So the tick, not a very strong opening. I mean, it's decent. So watch now on the tick secondary bounce. When it bounces back up, that will be key. That will be key to watching what the S&P does to see if then it will head into this 50.65 area or where it will need the ISM numbers to come out first. You think the market only follows AI stocks? If Apple didn't mention AI in their earnings report, though, it'll be a no event. Apple will still be an event if they guide lower. If their iPhone sales are weaker, it will still be an event because their market cap. Somewhat of the AI fad is dying out. All right, I think that's about it. I hope everyone has a wonderful trading day. Again, get to your trading and just don't forget the press conference. And I will be back tomorrow morning. Hopefully, it'll go a little smoother tomorrow with the dogs. With that, I'll talk to everyone later. Bye for now.